Church 32, Father Bob's Dream. The little church was full. It was raining. There were oil lamps on stands here and there and two chandeliers with oil lamps hung from the ceiling. They were all lit because of the gloom outside. It was early spring because the trees were bare. The air had a chill to it. There was a pervasive feeling of love and togetherness, unity in the congregation. It was a palpable feeling. Everyone was dressed in their best clothes. As he walked up the aisle, he felt vaguely out of place. The building was new. The clothing was late 18th century, early 19th century. He was wearing his normal clericals, an alb over a cassock with a stole for Lent. A brass cross and two brass candlesticks graced the altar. The common book and the Bible were on the lectern in front of the altar. The congregation was singing in an unfamiliar language. The altar was against the wall. He took his place in front of the altar and started the Mass. The familiar words of the Mass came out of his mouth in the language of the congregation. It was the same Mass he had celebrated on two continents in three languages. This new language came just as easily as English or Latin. As he celebrated the Mass, he felt a feeling of ease and unity with the congregation. As he invoked the Holy Spirit into the host, a wave of warmth and love moved through him and the congregation, and he could see into the hearts of everyone in the building. It evoked the feeling that drew him into missionary work as a teenager. He felt totally welcome. Robert, said a voice in the back of his mind, I have brought you here to see what was and what you need to return here. I am your servant. You must include everybody without judgment or criticism. I came for everybody, not just the few. Everybody. There will be people that tax your understanding that will ask your counsel. Do not turn them away. They are as I have made them, as they have lessons to teach and learn. They are in your path for a reason. Do not question your faith in me. It is strong enough. I have chosen you for this mission for a reason. Don't question it. It's all about context. You need to look through it and minister to the souls inside. These people are my faithful too. Only 16 of them survived the next 2 years. They were branded heathen savages, but as you can see, they were faithful to me. I loved them. They loved me. Hate killed them. Hate is a product of ignorance, greed, and laziness. To fight it requires love and knowledge with the hard work of spreading the knowledge that through love, all are saved. You must continue reaching out, even when things look hopeless. You are my faithful servant, and I am proud of you. Remember these people and spread the true gospel that comes from the heart through love and prayer that you write through your life of faith, love, and prayer, and not the itinerary of others. Each of us writes his or her own gospel. There is no room for hate in it. There is no room for prejudice in it. We must work together to bring about the kingdom, not on earth or government, but inside, where it counts, a kingdom where love and peace reign together over everyone. You have the key to it in your heart. Open the door. He awoke in the tiny confessional. It was a hot summer Saturday. The ink in his ballpoint had made a huge blot on his crossword puzzle. He was soaked in sweat. Somewhere in the woodwork, a dirt dauber wasp was working on her nest. The birds outside were claiming their territory. Church 33 family dinner. For the first time in years, the dining room table had people eating at it. The kitchen table was too small for the group now. It was the first time that everyone had eaten in a group. Charlene and Louis prepared the meal. The task was complicated by the fact that the three occupants of the big house had different eating schedules, and everything was single-serve microwavable items. Eating together as a group was never tried, and now the group was 6. There is no supermarket in Sterling Forks. There is a 7-Eleven. Huntsville or Lynchburg is the choice for a major grocery shopping expedition. The 3 new arrivals were a surprise. They were hungry. Charlene and Louis went to work. Microwave meals were broken down to their component parts. Entrees were separated from sides. The preparations generated a frightening quantity of trash. The hardest part was integrating the mashed potatoes and separating the gravy from them to make them appetizing in a family-style setting. It had to be family-style. It was a celebration of family. Using the china was discussed. The everyday dishes were chosen instead because it was to mark the beginning of everyday life for a family that had been fragmented but was now back together. Fine china would be too stressful. The flatware was everyday stainless too. The silver service remained securely locked away. It would be too much trouble to polish it anyway in the time frame needed to assemble the modest family dinner. It was the first time Corinne had sat at that table since the exchange with her mother about her new boyfriend halfway through 11th grade. She had stormed away from the table and out of the house with just the clothes on her back and her pocketbook, never to return or write. When she visited her father in the hospital, she hadn't stopped by the house. She stayed with a high school friend in town. Now, she was sitting at the same table with her children and three strangers. Even the person she knew was a stranger to her as everything had changed. This nice lady was her father. The idea itself made her head swim. The face was the same, but it was wearing makeup and attached to an obviously female body wearing female clothing. The other nice lady was about her age and looked like her mother, but was kind and non-judgmental, and as a bonus, sober. Then there was this strange little man. He seemed nice. He was younger than she was. There was something about the way he moved that just wasn't right to her. He didn't have the local accent. He talked like the younger lady who also didn't have the local accent. She couldn't place the accent, familiar as it seemed. Conversation was subdued. After Charlene said grace, everyone ate. The kids were starved. Hope didn't even try to act like a lady. She ate like a refugee from a third world country. Tim simply guarded his plate and shoveled the food in. Corinne sat and tried to figure out the strangers in her childhood home. All three of them made her nervous. The only one she could even relate to was the older woman who claimed to be her dad. She did look like him, but dads are supposed to be men. This one was definitely a woman. She was wearing one of Mom's wigs. She remembered being with her in Nashville when she bought it. When she talked, though, she sounded like Dad. Her head swam. The younger lady seemed nervous. She didn't say much. She moved around and made sure everyone got enough to eat. Tim broke the silence. How can you be grandpa when you are a lady? Cancer. I never saw cancer turn someone into a lady before. Neither did I until it happened to me. Then you're grandpa. Yes, but something happened that made me into a lady. Have you had sex education yet? They don't teach it in our county. Shit, I'll have to start from scratch then. What do you mean by that? You need to know about how the male reproductive system works and the parts of it. It's simple. We have a dick and a pair of balls. Right, but we have another part deep inside called the prostate. That is where I got the cancer. I have heard about prostate cancer on TV, but how can prostate cancer turn you into a lady? I didn't see a doctor until I couldn't pee at all and got sick from it. Why didn't you see a doctor when it was hard to pee at first? I was working. Working? I traveled all over the world and lived in hotels. There never seemed to be time to see a doctor. The cancer took my prostate, the inner part on the urethra, and the ball end of my penis. All they could save was the outer urethra, which they stitched to what was left of my bladder. They had to do a bone graft on my pelvis. I lost a big piece of my pubic arch. They gave me a vagina to attach a fake penis to, so I would look normal in restrooms and locker rooms. It didn't work right, so the vagina closed up so I couldn't use the prosthesis anymore. Do you know what hormones are? Not really. People talk about them raging and stuff, and how they make you crazy sometimes. My cancer is testosterone triggered. In the presence of testosterone, it grows like crazy. They cut off my balls to stop the production of testosterone. Everyone's body make hormones of both sexes. Because I'm not making testosterone anymore, estrogen, the female hormone took over. Because of the cancer meds, the adrenal glands on top of my kidneys started making a lot of it. I started feminizing. My body fat moved around to different places, and I started growing tits. I never intended it to happen, but it did. I tried to stay a man for as long as I could. Airport security is what made me give up and be a lady. How can airport security do that? My passport and driver's license no longer match my body. I have tits and a vagina. With that, Corinne and Tim both started laughing hysterically at the irony of it. Hope looked up from her plate and grinned. Grandpa was indeed a lady and came by it honestly. Then, aka Mom, aka Thelma, took a bow. The tension was broken and they were family. I still have to talk to my lawyer and accountant to fix the paperwork. Benjamin is not a good name for a lady. Church